The Google Pixel and Pixel XL are the first smartphones that were crafted inside and out by Google. Not only did they craft the software, that is Android 7.1 Nougat, but they also designed the hardware with the help of HTC. Google claims the hardware and the software is made by Google, and for the most part it is, but technically speaking, HTC manufactured the Pixel and the Pixel XL. And I mentioned this is the Pixel XL. The only difference between this phone and the Pixel is that it features a larger, more pixel-packed 5.5-inch QHD display. It's also $120 more expensive, starting at $769 for the base 32GB storage model. So this thing is not cheap like the Nexus devices were from Google relative to the competition. There's a lot to talk about here, but let's first see what's inside the box. The box slides open like so, and there's one piece of tape that we'll need to cut to lift open the top. Once we do that, we'll find the Pixel XL sitting right on top towards the left-hand side of the box, which I'm gonna set off to the side for now. Underneath, there's a SIM card removal tool and a get started guide for the phone itself, as well as the Google Assistant, which runs via the software. Now, Google didn't skimp out on the cables or the adapters with the Pixel XL. We'll find a USB to USB Type-C cable in the box, along with a USB to USB Type-C adapter. Now, on the right-hand side, there's some more cables and adapters. There's a longer USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable, and a US wall wart with a female USB Type-C port for charging. So it looks like no matter what your setup is, you should be able to charge this phone conveniently. Before we unwrap the Pixel XL from its protective plastic sheath, you will see mention of the Google Assistant built into the on-screen home navigation button. You'll see Google mention it here and in the paperwork because it's a pretty big deal. We'll take a look at it in a moment, but the build of the Pixel XL is really reminiscent of a handful of other smartphones like the iPhone 6 or 6S, the Huawei Honor 8, and a dash of the Moto Z with the molded aluminum frame. You'll see the phone is primarily constructed with metal, and it looks a heck of a lot like an iPhone 6 or 6S with those antenna lines, but what makes me think of something like the Moto Z is that instead of the rounded sides, the sides curve but then kind of flatten out, which actually makes the phone more practical than the iPhone, as it's slightly easier to grip in the hand. But technically speaking, the Moto Z doesn't really feature this flat side here. The most WTF area on the phone is the half Gorilla Glass back that features a fingerprint scanner. It looks a little bit out of place. I'm not really sure how I feel about it based off first impressions, but it does add some character to this phone, that's for certain. The Pixel XL features a 5.5-inch QHD AMOLED display that appears to be on the blue side based off first impressions. It does get very bright and viewing angles are excellent, and I do love all of the wallpapers offered on this device, some of which are pre-installed, others are pulled from the internet it looks like. There's a variety of different genres to choose from like cityscapes, landscapes, textures, life and earth, and then under each genre you have like 20 to 30 high-res wallpapers to choose from. You'll see the software found on the Pixel XL is different than what you'd find on the Nexus device. It features the Pixel Launcher, which is a lot like Google Now, but apps slide up from the bottom of the screen. There's no All Apps button. There's also a little Google tab sticking out in the upper left-hand corner that brings up Google Search. Another thing is that all of the icons are round. Well, most of them. For whatever reason, some of the icons aren't, which aggravates my OCD a little bit. But the Google Assistant is essentially like Google Now on tap on steroids. It is now an artificial intelligence that can speak to you, have a conversation with you, and deliver all kinds of information to you, whether that be sports scores, weather information, or movie showtimes. It can even control your phone and open apps for you and set appointments. It's also part of a messaging app called Allo, which we reviewed in depth in a separate video. If we look in the settings, we'll see a support section where you can phone Google for help if you're having problems with this device. You can explore tips and tricks and search for help and send feedback. We'll make a full video about what's new, but that's really the gist of Android 7.1 Nougat. The Pixel XL features a rear-facing fingerprint scanner, and it's just really a fingerprint scanner. There's nothing too special, there's no button or anything, and it works to unlock the phone very quickly. I think it would have been neat of them to incorporate some sort of reprogrammable button here as well to kind of add to its usefulness, but they didn't. The Pixel and Pixel XL are among the first smartphones to feature the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 821 processor, but that's not really saying too much as it doesn't feature any noticeable improvements over the 820. In fact, XDA developers found out that the Pixel phones are running the 821 variant with the same clock speed as the 820. There are two 821 variants, one with a higher clock speed and the other with the same clock speed as the 820. But nevertheless, the Pixel XL performs very well. Android delivered straight from Google, whether that's via a Nexus device or a Pixel device, is arguably the best way to experience Android. It's buttery smooth and snappy. Android N also allows for multitasking, and even when two apps are running side by side, the Pixel doesn't break a sweat. The Pixel XL features a 12 megapixel camera sensor with an f2.0 aperture with 1.55 micron meter pixels, but unfortunately no optical image stabilization. So I went on a short walk and took some sample photos and found image quality to be very impressive. DxOMark actually gives the Pixel and Pixel XL the highest rating of any smartphone for its camera performance. That's very promising, and it's something that I'm really gonna have to put to the test for my full review. But it looks great upon first impressions. I will say that the digital image stabilization software is some of the best in the business. I went walking down the sidewalk with the Pixel XL, and despite there being no OIS, the footage was very, very smooth. I will say the speakers have disappointed me the most with this smartphone. You'd think that considering HTC helped build this phone and the Google Nexus 6B featured front-facing speakers, that the Pixel and the Pixel XL would too, but that's not the case. They're actually bottom-facing and they're decent at best. They sound a little bit muffled though. Battery life is another area that I'm really gonna have to spend more time with to better understand. It does feature a pretty large 3450 mAh battery, and I will say that if you're a moderate to heavy smartphone user, I'd recommend the XL as it features a much larger battery than the Pixel. The Pixel features a relatively small 2770 mAh battery. So this is the Google Pixel XL, the first smartphone made by Google, so they say. $769 is a heck of a lot of money to shell out for a smartphone. And so if you're gonna spend that kind of money, you're gonna wanna make sure that it has all that you want. And I can't say that the Google Pixel XL has all that I want looking at the specs on paper. I will say that what it does have is going to have to really impress to make up for what it doesn't have. Water resistance, front-facing speakers, and built-in wireless charging are just some features that I would have liked to have seen here. So we'll see how much I miss these features when I use this phone as my daily driver. Thumbs up, subscribe, you guys know the drill. I'm QHD from PhoneDoc.com. Have a good day and or night. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.